Hey everybody, I'm Bob Bakert with Jazz Guitar. Today we're being joined by one of our favorites, Dave Stryker. Hey Dave,
Hey Bob, how's it going, man?
it's going well. I just want to tell people if they enjoy the content, like guys like Dave Stryker, world-class players, please like, ring bells, share, follow. It really helps us out a lot. And we're not really good at self-promotion. We've been doing this almost, we're in our sixth year of doing this, and we don't really self-promote a whole lot. So we got to try to get you guys to help grow the community, as I say.
Sounds
So hey
great.
man, so how you doing? What's going on with you?
Just busy, have a new record out. Just came out that we recorded last summer with my organ trio, Jared Gold and McClenny Hunter, and with our special friend and guest Bob Mintzer is on this record. And
Yeah.
I've been a big fan of Bob's and a friend of his for a long time, so I'm really happy that we got to record this album. And we were doing a week at Birdland last summer in July, and the plan was to record it after we did the week, but it turned out that Bob had to go to Europe with the Yellow Jackets that day. So I said, okay, let's move it to before the day, a couple of days before we were going to do the week at Birdland, and it worked out nice because we were had kind of had some music planned for the gig, and so we were kind of playing music that we had never really played together uh, for the first time, and sometimes that can really uh, create some nice magic in the studio. That interaction and the first time playing music together.
Well, I confess that I rarely ask questions that I don't know the answer to. So Groove Street is the name of the new record. And am I correct in saying that?
Yeah,
All right. And you had mentioned the cast of characters, including Bob. And there's a lot of YouTubes available of you guys. You can watch you guys playing on YouTube to get a feel for what's going on. Um, oh, yeah, I dig it. I mean, I dig it.
thank you.
You
Yeah,
guys,
my son is a filmmaker, and so I hire my son to make the videos. And we basically they record the whole the session, and then
yeah.
I give them to Matt, my son, and he edits them together. And a lot of these were just as happens a lot of times in jazz, just the first take seemed to be the best one. So you get to kind of see us, making the record right there on video. So yeah, I have I'll be posting uh, more of the songs from the album as we go along. But the title track Groove Street is out right now.
And tell us a little bit about that cut. What kind of a cut is it?
It's a blues in B flat, and it's a shuffle, and it's just a really the kind of tune I love to play. Start out a set with. McClenny Hunter's got such a great shuffle groove, and it gets people, going like this a little bit. I remember one of my earlier bosses, Jack McDuff. I'll never forget. He told me one time, if you look out in the audience, Striker, and they're not going like this when you're playing, you're doing something wrong. So I take that to heart. But and luckily I have McClenny, and that's just the sound of that classic organ quartet with guitar and tenor saxophone. Uh, that kind of sums up the album, and I called it Groove Street.
Well, I have repeated, you've told me that story about Jack McDuff before, and I've repeated that many, many times to people. I always give you credit for it. I always say,
Oh, okay.
Dave Stryker told me, if you look out and they're not doing this, you're doing it wrong. And I do attribute it to Jack McDuff's conversation with you. And I remember when you told me that, I was like, that's abso-frickin-lutely right. It is an audience. There is an entertainment factor. There is an interdependence between you and the audience. And but you guys do organ trio, organ quartet actually now, with Bob. I mean, that's state of the art. I mean, you guys are the guys. I mean, you opened, for Steely Dan all last summer. And, those guys know a little bit about music and what grooves and what does, what doesn't, what sounds good, what's popular. And for them to, put you on as their opening act for, a good deal of the tour, it speaks a lot to your prowess in the organ trio slash quartet, genre, if you will. I use that word. So yeah, I mean, I think any fan of that style will be digging what you're doing. I mean, for sure.
Yeah, thank
If
you.
you're
And I was lucky. I got to play with, like we mentioned, Jack McDuff for 2 years in the '80s, and then went right from him to playing with Stanley Turrentine for about 10 years.
hmm
And both of those uh, people were, they had an audience. They
right.
would play gigs, people would come out to hear them, and people would have a good time. And it was also musically on a very high level. And it was so I hope some of that rubbed off on me. It's you want to make music that makes people feel good, and also that's on a high artistic level. But it's always got to have that kind of soulfulness to it, and that's one of the things I got from getting to the opportunity to play with people like Jack McDuff and Stanley Turrentine.
So the record, the album itself, Groove Street. Now it is out now.
Yes,
Okay, and it came out on the 14th. Was that right?
it came out actually January 12th.
12th. I'm sorry. Excuse
Hmm.
me for a couple of days. And it's at the usual outlets of Spotify and Apple and all that kind of thing. And can they buy it obviously directly from you?
Right, of course. So um, yeah, the best way to, if you want to support artists, is to go to their website and get it directly from them, because then they get to see, it costs money to make these records. I'm happy to do it, and I have my own label, so I'm covering everything. But that's what I do. I mean, I want to get my music out there. And but if you go on my website, davestryker.com, it'll take you to Bandcamp, or you could go to davestryker.bandcamp.com. And that's really a wonderful platform for artists, because if you go there, the artist gets the a good share of the money. You can also order the CD there, and they get mailed to you. And it's a really, with all the bad news with the music business, with these streaming services and not being able to make any money anymore from record sales. Bandcamp is a a positive thing, I feel.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
I have
So,
all my stuff for my label up on there.
so just to let people know, because we want to try to make this, we want people to support you. Strike Zone Records is the name of your label. And when you go to davestryker.com dot com, you're going to see there's 5 headings there. There's news, shows, music, biography, and media kit. So if you punch on music, it's all right there with the covers are all there, and then the buy it now, the ever important buy it now
Mhm.
button is there, so it'll take you straight to the buy it now. And there's like 20 or so records that you've been leader on, Dave, in your career, so they can really follow you from the beginning, the inception of your solo recording. It's all there. So very, very cool. Your media kit, biography, shows. So you also get out and gig, which is really, really nice. And I know that you're going to be at the Jazz Kitchen on February the 2nd in
Yeah, this
Indianapolis.
Friday.
This Friday, you're going to be traveling out there. Is that part of the West Montgomery thing that you did with NPR? Is that part of that whole
No,
thing?
this besides the fact that anytime you play an indie, you're feeling his spirit because
Hmm.
that was Wes's hometown. No, we're just this is like kind of my Midwest group. I use a great organist named Kendall Carter. He's from Louisville. Rob Dixon is a tenor player. He's from Indy, and Sean Dobbins is a drummer from the Detroit area, and he's one of the teachers, professors at Indiana University, where I also teach. So I'm getting ready to head out there and teach for a few days. I go out every other week out to Indiana University to teach, and once or twice a year I'll play at Jazz Kitchen. It's a really great club right in the middle of the country.
And so you're also going to be, obviously, you're going to be in New York. You're going to be at Smalls on March 1st and 2nd with your regular trio, which is Jared Gold on organ and McClenty Hunter on drums, which is very, very cool.
Right.
So you record, you play gigs, you've done festivals, you toured with Steely Dan and all that, but you're also an educator. And how many schools are you teaching at now? 10? What do you do?
No, please. I teach at, like we just mentioned, at Indiana University. I also teach at Rutgers in here in New Jersey and Montclair State University here in New Jersey.
Right.
And I enjoy it. Passing it on. Like we were talking about earlier, I had the good opportunity to play with some of the greats. Unfortunately, we don't have many of them left, so I try to pass on some of the things that I learned. Getting that experience playing with them, and we need the young people to continue this music going, not only as players but as people that love the music. And so I feel that it's I'm happy to do that at this point. In my teaching.
Well, from your lips to God's ears, as someone likes to say. Um, well, what's really profound and ironic about all that is that the young guys today that look up to Dave Stryker are going to someday say to somebody, "Well, I got the opportunity to play with Dave Stryker, one of the greats." So,
Yeah. Well.
you're creating that legacy for yourself, whether you like it or not, Dave. You're you're creating that legacy
Well,
for
there's
yourself.
there's some really outstanding students that do love this music and are you know
Hmm.
that's inspiring as well to get inspired by your students and see them a light bulb go off and say, wow,
Well, let me ask you a question about that while we're here. Because today's kind of a quick hit and run. We want to really let people know about Groove Street. We want to let people know the record's out. It's a very, very cool record, and please pick up a copy of it. There it is, right
there it
there.
is.
There it is, the man himself. It's a great label, by the way. Whoever did the artwork for you did a great job.
Yeah, Chris Drucker, my man.
Oh man, look, that's great, great,
And the
great.
photo was actually by a guy named R.R. Jones. He took that he's really cool. He took that photo out at Coomba Jazz in Santa Cruz this summer when we
Really,
played out there.
that's a great shot. I thought, wow, that's like, that's really, really good.
Thank you.
Um, so let's talk about education just for a minute because it comes up all the time. There's you know, you've been teaching now at the university level for how long?
I don't know, maybe dozen years, maybe something like that, or
So,
15.
so from when you started to now, have you seen changes in your approach and the approach of, or I should say, what changes have you seen, if any?
Well, it's still I think it's still a viable thing for young people to go to the university level. It is too expensive in a lot of cases, but hopefully, if you're in state or if you're can work in a scholarship type situation, I think it's valuable. And sure, you could just go and study on your own and watch YouTube all day, and there's so much out there, I know. But having a private teacher and someone holding you to a program to try to learn this music, and part of my teaching is, of course, listening to to the masters and transcribing what they did, and because that's helped me so much when I was learning how to play this, was listening to guys like Wes and Pat Martino, Grant Green, George Benson, Jim Hall, Joe Pass, all the greats, Kenny Burrell. I could go on for an hour. And you listen to them, and that's there it is. So that's got to be part of the part of studying is absorbing what came before, and then trying to move on from there with your own your own ideas.
It's kind of like what is the old what's the famous saying? Learn that shit and then forget all that crap and play something like that. You know, and but
Yeah.
there's people don't. But when how there's two strong schools of thought and probably another half a dozen or dozen that are sort of variants, and that is don't need to go to school. You can do it all with your ear. Just listen to your heart and all that. Then there's the heavy transcribe school. And the way I kind of view it is I respect results. So if somebody's done it all with their ear and all of that, and they can play and touch you with their music, great. If they do that through the more academic, traditional academic, great. Whatever gets you there, um, and that's different for different people. And I think that you would probably agree with me. I don't know for sure because I am saying something I haven't talked about, but you can kind of tell when you listen to someone play, sort of where they came from, how much formal education they have. It's not that they can't play, it's not that they don't sound good, it's not that they're not good musicians and all that. But there's a difference. I'm not saying better, but there's a difference in when for me anyway, when I hear people play, I can kind of tell who's been to school and who hasn't. And I'm not laying a value on that. I'm just saying that there is definitely, whatever gets you there, I guess, is my.
Yeah, exactly. But there is all other, of course, advantages to being in a school environment. One is all the things that you can take advantage of. One is, you're meeting your peers, your same age, and you're getting inspired by hearing your peers that are playing great, and maybe that's going to make you, push forward and get serious about, learning the music. You'll have connections that you make there that will follow you as you move on in your career and stuff. And there's other things that you're forced to learn, perhaps arranging things like that wouldn't be so easy to do just on your own, from really great professors that know what they're talking about. Arranging, learning piano, learning to read music better. These kind of things are valuable, and there's many ways. Many, what do they say? Many roads to Rome. Some
Yeah,
some people don't need it at all. That's fine, but it's um, I you know that's what I do teach at the college
yeah.
level, and it can be definitely valuable for certain types of students. And but whatever way that you can get there, is there's many different ways of becoming a musician.
Well,
Uh,
my personal thing is, I had 15 guitar teachers over the years, at all kinds of teachers. I mean, I've been playing this thing for 60 years, so that's not that many, but um, you know, when I went to Georgia State University, I was in my 60s. I was like 62, 63 years old. Um, Hell, I mean, I learned a ton after I'd already been playing over 50 years. I
right.
mean, I learned a ton that I thought I knew, and I got my ass handed to me in several occasions. And the other thing I will say about being in school is it keeps you humble because you're around, you already mentioned this, you're around people that are working their asses off as well. And you realize that, maybe, you're not all that in a hunk of bread, maybe, you got some work to do, to keep up. And I think that that's one of the, the guys that I know that I went to school with, and they're all about a third my age. Um, they're very humble and they're all accomplished. They're all doing some really great things. Um, but they're all very humble, and I think that there's something to be said for that as well. And just I'm a big fan of education. Period.
Oh, that's the
Um,
other thing, not just music too. When if you're in a college environment, you're going to be taking other courses and
right.
that are going to make you a more well-rounded person. So, look, I'm not saying that that's the only that you have to go to college, but I think it can be beneficial to for younger people. Both my sons went to college; they're both more into film. Um, so yeah, it's a good route. It's a route to take, or if you're serious about
Mhm.
music, go for it.
Well, the world is full of people that went to Berkeley for a year or two. There's a lot of that running around.
All right.
Well, listen, man, let's get back to your playing for just a second here. I watched the video of you playing with Frank Vignola, at Birdland, and that was a really cool thing to see. That was,
Yeah.
you know,
Thanks.
you
Frank's
guys.
great. Yeah.
Oh, Frank, I can't say enough good things about Frank. I mean, it's just,
Yeah. Yeah. No,
uh,
that's been a lot of fun getting to know Frank better and do some gigs with him. Um, he comes from a little different style than myself, but we both love jazz guitar, and so it's a fun to meet and exchange ideas on the bandstand. And he's a fun guy too. So we have a good time.
oh yeah, it's
Uh,
great. If you haven't seen it, go to YouTube and look up, Frank Vignola Birdland with Dave Stryker, and you'll see that the show. It's really good. The respect is obviously there. The playing is fantastic. The rhythm section is great. Gary, of course, is fabulous bass player, and it's just really really cool. So that's good. So I won't keep you much longer. Is there anything you want to add to this
no,
or
just
talk
thanks for what
about?
you're doing. Thank what you and Joe are doing. It's anything that's putting some positivity out into this world is important. Trying to push the music, inviting guys like myself and other players to talk and try to build a community, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
This is all super important, and we all appreciate what you do. And sometimes you don't know how far you're reaching from the likes or whatever you get. Sometimes it's bigger than you think. What you're doing,
It's
and
you know. Go
I,
ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, I know. I just I appreciate you. You mentioned you want to talk about my new record, so I appreciate anybody that checks it out. I feel it's a kind of a statement about where the organ trio plus tenor sax is right at this moment for me, especially.
Right.
And
Oh no, you
we've been
guys.
working together a long time, so I feel there's a
Yeah.
real.
Well, you guys are definitely state of the art. I mean, I think it's just wonderful. It's really really good. I just back to the magazine. A lot of people don't know that the guy that puts together the magazine on a on a daily basis is Joe Perry,
Right.
not Aerosmith Joe Perry, but Joe Perry, who used to be the publisher of Guitar Player magazine, Bass Player magazine, electronic musician, keyboard. So we're a couple of guys that actually came from the industry at a different place. Working this thing. So we do appreciate that. But that's Joe Perry. He's the guy that makes a
Thanks,
magazine
Joe.
look the way it does and you know, keeps me, you know, in line, if you will, to say, hey, that's not a very good idea. Or that is a good idea. Or, we collaborate a tremendous amount on the content. Um, anyway, the last thing I was going to ask you was, we got the gigs, we talked about the record, we talk about your gigs, we talk about the education thing. I guess we're we're pretty much done,
We hit
Dave.
it. We hit it.
Remember what I said. Please, everybody, if you're enjoying this conversation, please like it. Go to YouTube, like it,
I'll
share, follow.
I'll leave you with one thing, and that's so we didn't talk about what's coming up. So
Oh, yeah.
I have a project I've been working on for about a year, which is going to be come out next year, and it's myself playing movie themes with a studio orchestra.
Oh, wow.
And I know you're a big movie guy as
Yeah.
an actor and probably a fan as well. But I wanted to. We did this. You mentioned earlier in the interview today about the Wes Montgomery thing that we did for
Yeah.
PBS. That'll be out nationally sometime this year, hopefully. And it was they asked me to through Indiana University to do a special, an hour special of Wes's music, and it was with a big band and string orchestra, and I brought in Bobby Floyd and Sean Dobbins, and we played organ trio in the middle, and it really came out nice. Um, and I talked to Brent, the guy who arranged a lot of the music for that. I said we should do a project together, and so we've been talking, and what could we do? And I said, how about we do movie themes? So it's coming up this month. We're going to record it, and can't wait for you to hear that one.
I
But
hope you're going to shoot it. I hope you get your sons out
oh
there
yeah,
with
my
the
son will
camera.
be there. Yep.
Yeah, because that's a big deal, man.
Yeah, I can't. We'll talk more about it when we
Oh,
get.
I'm not. That's very, very exciting. I mean, there's a whole lot to be done there.
Yeah,
Oh, man. Man, I love that. I absolutely
yeah.
love that. That's great.
Cool.
So
We'll talk more about it.
I will do that. So this is Bob Bakert with Dave Stryker, the uh, the amazing Dave Stryker. He's everywhere, playing at the highest level, playing in the coolest places, doing cool stuff with cool people. Dave, I can't say enough. You're one of my favorites.
Well, thanks so
So,
much, Bob. I really appreciate it, man.
all right,
And
man. Take
see you around.
care.
All
Bye
right.
bye now.
All
Bye
the
bye.
best.